Hello, I'm Richard Keenan, Chair of the Friends of Wicomico Public Libraries and a member of the Board of Trustees. I want to welcome you to the presentation of the 2020 Light of Literacy Awards. From its beginning in 1869 as a private library in rented space, Wicomico Public Libraries has grown in size, expanded its services, and increased its contributions to the community. Each year, more than 650,000 items are borrowed from one of our 4 locations. Over 14,000 people attend 1,464 programs, and 50% of Wicomico County residents have a library card. The Light of Literacy Awards are presented by the Friends of Wicomico Public Libraries and recognize those luminaries whose actions demonstrate a deep understanding of the transformational power of literacy and the dedication of those everyday individuals doing extraordinary work in promoting the power of literacy. The program promotes the work of literacy volunteers in the community and raises awareness of the services provided by Wicomico Public Libraries and its partners to help raise the literacy level for all of those in our community. The benefits are far-reaching. By recognizing individuals and organizations who promote literacy, we raise public awareness of their work and the effects it has on our community, and we inspire others to follow their path. This will benefit not only those who volunteer, but those who are currently aided by these volunteers and those still seeking assistance. During this program, you'll hear about some of the extraordinary contributions being made by members of our community to promote literacy. Thank you for joining us in these efforts as we congratulate the 2020 awardees and nominees. Now let me introduce Dr. Scott Duncan, who, along with being a friend of the library, is also a member of the library's Board of Trustees and will serve as our narrator today.
Hello, and welcome to this special edition of the Light of Literacy Awards program, where we introduce you to the people and organizations who have made such meaningful contributions to the cause of literacy in our community. During this program, you will get to see and hear the award winners talk about their inspiring work in brief video presentations. And if you have ever attended one of the previous Light of Literacy ceremonies, you will know that cheering and applause are encouraged, so go for it. There are 7 award categories. The first is the Organization Luminary Award. This award is presented to a local business or organization in recognition of their efforts to improve literacy in our community. The 2020 award is sponsored by the Richard A. Henson Foundation. The Organization Luminary nominees are Lemonade Bookstand, United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore Read to Succeed, United Way of the Lower Eastern Shore Women United, Ward Museum of Wildfowl Art, and Youth Innovation Academy. The Organization Luminary Award is presented to the Ward Museum of Wildfowl Art. Dr. Kristen Sullivan, Executive Director, accepts the award on behalf of the organization.
So my name is Kristen Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of the Ward Museum of Wildfowl Art, Salisbury University. So I am actually originally from upstate New York. I moved up and down the East Coast, spent a little bit of time out west, but I ended up settling in on the Eastern Shore about a year ago, which was a little bit of a return to home. I actually came out to the Eastern Shore first when I was a graduate student, and I was studying anthropology, and the folks that I studied were Chincoteague decoy carvers and hunters, and was interested in how their material culture, their stuff, the decoys, helped to talk about identity and heritage and really told the story of their place. So from there, I actually was the curator at the Ward Museum for a time, went away for a little bit, and then the Eastern Shore called me home. So I'm happy to accept this award on behalf of the Ward Museum. And the Ward Museum, I think, it plays an important role in the community as an advocate for different forms of literacy, right? So we actually have a family reading program called Drop in Art Junior, where we read stories to preschool age kids up to age 5. And then they do a craft about the theme of the story, which always has something to do with nature. So it's stories connecting folks to nature, and then art that helps to express something about what they learned. We have monthly free art programs that help folks learn about different artistic traditions and about design and color theory and how to sort of interpret and use the arts to make the world more beautiful, but also to help them with creative problem solving and creatively think about different aspects of their life. And then we also, I think, provide a lot in the way of environmental literacy. So we actually connect kids to Shoemaker Pond, to the grounds around the Ward Museum, and we go to their schools and help connect to their environments and provide some tools for learning about water quality and air quality and the benefits of, being sort of conscious members of their natural environment and their communities to help them make more informed choices about how they want to interact with the world that we all live in and that they're going to grow up in and take charge of in the future when they're grown-ups. I'm personally inspired by the kids that come through the museum and learners really of all ages who are taking the little tools and inspiration that we provide and then turning it around to really do inspirational work in their own communities. That's remarkable to me, and I'm really proud to be a part of that. But I think we owe a debt of gratitude to a lot of folks in our community. We really owe a lot to different individuals and organizations who have supported us over the years and could not do this without the support of our membership and of different folks in the broader community. My name is Kristen Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of the Ward Museum of Wildfowl Art, Salisbury University. I've been in this role since late 2018.
Anything else you'd like to say?
I'm just really excited about this award. Thank you.
Next is the Higher Education Luminary Award. The Higher Education Luminary Award is presented to an individual who works or teaches formal post-high school instruction, an individual whose actions demonstrate a passion for literacy in post-high school education or training. The 2020 award is sponsored by Salisbury Apartments. The Higher Education Luminary nominees are Daniel Norris and Aaron Studelberg. The award for this year's Higher Education Luminary is presented to Daniel Norris.
Okay, my name's Dan Norris, and I'm a writer and teacher living on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, obviously. I'm originally from Baltimore and moved to the Eastern Shore about 30 years ago. Right now I teach employment readiness and office technology at the Eastern Correctional Institution down in Westover, Maryland. I have taught at Warwick Community College and at Salisbury State University. Recently got my master's in English literature and kind of changed things around from the picture framer that I'd been for 25 years. Literacy takes on a whole new meaning when you walk into a situation in prison. One, we're trying to teach office technology, teaching a Microsoft Office program. The curriculum was designed to be taught with an online component. Obviously, we have no internet connection that is available to the student inmate. I really enjoy writing. I've worked on my my first novel, looking for an agent, and working on several other pieces of work while I'm teaching. And one of the projects that I've worked on quite a bit right now is the Echoes and Visions magazine at Warwick Community College. Several of the inmates are excellent writers, and I actually teach a writing workshop at this point as well as the office technology. And we've been publishing their work in the Echoes and Visions, which has really changed the flavor of that literary journal, and kind of putting disenfranchised voices in with more traditional college student writing. And I tell you, it's really interesting and somewhat disturbing how similar the themes are in this writing. That kind of work is, it really kind of, that's cliche, but it warms your heart. It's amazing to see guys who have spent the last 15, 20, 25 years incarcerated open up and share things about their personal life in their writing that they probably wouldn't talk to anybody else about. Sure, a lot of them talk about the process of and how they feel about being incarcerated, but many more of them talk about their life before they got in, their hopes, their dreams, their expectations. All of those things are exactly what we would write about, anybody on the outside would write about. And so it closes the divide between us, between people who are incarcerated, actually committed some kind of crime, and us who are also human on the outside. And not that these inmates aren't paying for something that they are responsible for, but that if we intend to coexist with them once they are released from prison, we need to give them a fighting chance. And this is one way. It increases their literacy to write like this, to possibly be published, and to kind of open up to what the world is like out here rather than the world that they've lived in for the last 10 years. But the lesson is that we out here on the outside are no different than the people who are incarcerated. They made decisions and choices which wound up becoming incarcerated for crimes that they committed that were similar. Those guys do deserve a hand up if they're reaching. I'd really like to thank the staff of the Echoes and Visions literary magazine and the English department at Warwick Community College, who I believe had a great hand in nominating for me for this award, and the Wicomico County Library for indeed picking it up and giving me the award. Thank you. And I am Dan Norris, and I work for Warwick Community College as a contract teacher at Eastern Correctional Institution in Westover, Maryland.
The Student Luminary Award is presented to an individual who is enrolled in formal instruction and not more than 22 years old. It recognizes an individual or group whose actions demonstrate leadership and a commitment to community. The 2020 award is sponsored by Avery Hall Insurance Group. The Student Luminary nominees are Rose Diana Mesidor and Harrison Leon. The award for this year's Student Luminary is presented to Harrison Leon.
My name is Harrison Leon. I'm an undergraduate student at Salisbury University. I study conflict analysis and dispute resolution. I consider myself a civically engaged change agent, essentially, at my university. I like to work on literacy from a variety of different perspectives. I've worked with the Youth Innovation Academy during the summer of 2019. At the Youth Innovation Academy, I worked as a teaching assistant. We helped 55 middle school students aged 9 to 14 learn different leadership skills, critical reading skills, and technology skills, so that we were enhancing their literacy capacities in technology, leadership, and reading. As the editor-in-chief for Laraday, the first undergraduate research journal at Salisbury University, I helped build connections between the different schools by providing the school with a platform for student-led research. So the journal features exclusively undergraduate research, and we were able to showcase all the brilliant work from each different department on campus through one centralized platform so that we can start building bigger and better bridges between the schools, creating more interdisciplinary work. I see literacy from a variety of different perspectives. In one other area, I work as a presidential citizen scholar for the Institute of PACE, and our cohort has looked at literacy and how we can implement it in the new forthcoming Newton Street Community Center. It's set to open later this spring. What we have is an ability to kind of work with the city of Salisbury to develop some type of programming that will be installed in the new Newton Street Community Center. And so what we did as a cohort was conduct a community needs assessment, and we were able to develop recommendations for the type of programming that will go in there. And a lot of the recommendations are centered around communication skills and reading and writing, a lot of after-school activities that are oriented around academic kind of work so that we can help supplement what the schools are doing for the children. So that's another area where literacy has come into play in my work at my university. I see literacy as something that's quintessential because it empowers people at the end of the day. It allows people to really take control of their own development and growth when they are literate in a certain area. So as I mentioned earlier, I view literacy in various different ways. So financial literacy, technology literacy, and for example, reading and writing literacy. We all consider these as abilities to empower individuals and provide them with the resources or the tools to empower or develop themselves so that they can become better people, better citizens, and better scholars. So I think a lot of my passion to help other people comes from my upbringing. My household kind of adopts an open door policy. So at several times throughout my life, I've had friends stay at my home for several periods, for weeks at a time, even years. Actually, one of my best friends is a tenant in my house. But we've always been a family that seeks to help others. And so I think that is where a lot of my passion to provide programs, activities, etc., that help enhance people's literacies in various different capacities comes from. My name's Harrison Leon. I go to Salisbury University. I'm an undergraduate student. I study conflict analysis and dispute resolution. I'm from Paoli, Pennsylvania, but I consider myself an engaged citizen, a passionate social activist, and an agent of change. I want to thank Wicomico County Library and all of its friends for this prestigious award. You guys do so much for the community, and it honors me to actually receive this award this year. Thank you very much.
The Adult Luminary Award is presented to an individual who is over 18 years of age and whose actions demonstrate leadership and a passion for literacy in our community. The 2020 award is sponsored by John C. and Karen D. Vendetta. The Adult Luminary nominees are Alan Brown, Tara Elliott, Amber Green, Nancy Mitchell, Angie Strouth, and Jane Whitmore. This was a particularly strong group of nominees this year in the Adult Luminary category, and the selection committee had a difficult time making a single choice. Their solution was to award 2 Adult Luminary Awards, to Tara Elliott and Amber Green. First, we'll hear from Tara Elliott, followed by Amber Green.
Hi, Hi, I'm Tara Elliott, and I teach over at Salisbury Middle School, but I am the Adult Award winner today, and I'm telling you all about Salisbury Poetry Week. Salisbury Poetry Week is a week of different events, from workshops to readings to open mic, and it involves the entire community, and I'm so excited to work with Wicomico County Public Schools, with the Public Library, with Salisbury University's Center for Extended and Lifelong Learning, with the Community Foundation, and with several other people like SWAC, who gave us our original founding money for Salisbury Poetry Week. We work together as a group of teachers and writers, working with Eastern Shore Writers Association and Maryland Writers Association Lower Shore Chapter to make sure that poetry continues as an art form in Salisbury. I am a poet myself, and I know what a great opportunity it is to have readings for lots and lots of people to attend. And I'm so excited about our Eastern Shore Voices reading, where we bring in poets from all over the Eastern Shore to read with our poet in residence. This year, our poet in residence is Christopher Salerno from Patterson University in New Jersey. We're very excited to bring poets in from all over the shore and give them a chance to share their voices. We also have poets in the school, where we invite our local poet laureate, Nancy Mitchell, to speak to our students at North Salisbury Elementary. And then we have workshops after school with Christopher Salerno. And we're so excited because even Scott Whitaker is bringing his classes up from Wicomico High School to join us at Bennett this year. So it is a week-long series of events. This is our 4th year for Salisbury Poetry Week. We have had James Arthur, Jerry LaFemina, and Jane Satterfield in all as poets in residence during the past 3 years. And I'm so excited to have our 4th year. I have to thank Maryland Humanities as well as SWAC and the Community Foundation, all for grants that have made this possible. Thank you so much. I studied poetry with Lucille Clifton at St. Mary's College of Maryland, along with Michael Glazier, and they were absolutely phenomenal at teaching me all about poetry. Lucille was a dear friend of mine because I was her driver. She hired me to be her driver. And because I was her driver, it gave me the chance to see a poet as a human being. And Lucille would get in the car with me and ask me questions like, Tara, why is the color green called the color green? And I'd say, I have no idea. And she'd go, I really need to know that to finish this poem. So I would hike out to the public library or the library at college and make sure to research it. And I would hand her cards that had some information that I had written. And this was the days before the internet. So of course, research took a whole lot more time than it does today, where you can just type it into Google. And I would hand her the card and she would say, thank you, Tara. And she would slide the card into her handbag. And then she would turn to me and go, how does a microwave oven work? And I'd say, I have no idea. And she'd say, I really want to find that out so I can work it into one of my poems. And I'd say, And then I'd get so excited when I'd read one of her poems and one of my little factoids or research assignments would wind up in one of her poems. It really made me understand that literature and research go hand in hand, and finding out all that cool, really, really wild information just drove me to write. And I was very blessed to work with her for many years at St. Mary's College of Maryland and then afterwards. And Lucille was very gifted at telling us that poetry is not just literature. Poetry is a way of living in the world. And I've always held that near and dear to my heart. I can't thank you guys enough for honoring me twice. I was honored as Educator of the Year Award in 2016, and this year I am nominated as the Adult Award winner for the Light of Literacy, and it makes me so proud to represent the city in this capacity. And I'm very excited to share the stage today with Ken Johnson, who is my partner in teaching crime from 15 years at Salisbury Middle School. And I'm so excited he's here with us today too. Go Eagles!
My name is Amber Green. I am the founder and executive director of Phoenix Youth Project. We are an organization where we encourage youth to use their creative talents to impact social change. We challenge them to use their creative talents to get involved and become future leaders. I am originally from Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C. to be exact, where you have Go-Go, Chuck Brown, Barry Farms, basketball legends, and then I came out here to UMES, University of Maryland Eastern Shore, where now I call Salisbury home. When I left University of Maryland Eastern Shore, I was at a crossroads. I could either decide to move back to Washington, D.C. area, or I can start roots here. And one of the things that drew me here to this area was the youth and the outcry for the adults wanting to make a change in the youth and the youth wanting change in their community. So I stayed around, talked to some kids, worked with some adults, and now we're here. We're a full-blown organization getting involved and creating new leaders. Phoenix Youth Project is one of those organizations where we are challenging youth to become leaders. Instead of telling them that they're too young to be around the grown folks table, we're inviting them to the table. We're challenging them with the hard questions. We're exciting them with the needs of using creativity like art, dance, poetry. And with that, they bring awareness to the different issues that care about them, like being impacted by incarceration, the impact of drug use, the impact of being homeless. A lot of youth have a lot of things to say about the issues that affect them, but they aren't around the table, around the adults who are making the decisions. So I try to empower them and help them find their voice, and then I try to challenge them to use it. Poetry literacy is an amazing part of Phoenix Youth Project. Myself as a spoken word artist, that was what helped me personally find my voice. I dealt with a lot of bullying as well as identity issues coming of age and even into my young adult years. And what helped me become a great leader, I think, was my skill in using words and how to use those words to make a change. And so I always want to share that skill with youth. And so we have a Rise Youth Poetry team where we compete in different area poetry slams and regional poetry festivals. And we also are looking for our first ever Youth Poet Laureate, where they can become a youth ambassador for the Salisbury area. We're just trying to bring out the poets and the literacy artists here on the Eastern Shore, and we're wanting to give that platform to youth. I definitely want to give thanks to all of the African-American writers who have come before me, like Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Toni Morrison. Those writers were the ones who wanted to challenge the status quo and also to be a voice for communities that aren't being heard. And so I wanted to take that as an example for youth and to use that to create new leaders. I want to thank everybody for this award, especially my Phoenix Youth Project squad, all of the youth who've been around since we started in 2013 to now all the way in 2020. I want to thank all of the community leaders and community partners that we have. One of the things that have made Phoenix Youth Project successful is our ability to collaborate and partner with so many community partners, because we can't do it alone. It's not a competition. We definitely like to make new friends and make new family. My name is Amber Green with Phoenix Youth Project.
The Educator Luminary Award is presented to an individual who works in the education profession with students from birth through the 12th grade, and whose actions demonstrate a passion for literacy and education. The 2020 award is sponsored by First Shore Federal Savings and Loan Association. The Educator Luminary nominees are Jennifer Cahal, Mindy Damaris, Abby Goebel, Ken Johnson, Mary Kinnaman, Susan Stevenson, and Teresa Tyler. The Educator Luminary Award is presented to Ken Johnson.
So my name is Ken Johnson. I am the VPA theater teacher for Wicomico County. We started the program 2 years ago, so 2018. This is our second year in existence. It's the best job known to mankind because I get to create my curriculum as we go through. Fantastic. I started teaching 33 years ago, so back in 87, 79, gee, you messed me up now. My philosophy of education is, to take everything that you learn and use it in your life. So everything needs to be relatable to your life. The reason I really glommed into theater was because it is so much of a life skill. Just the fact that you talking to other people is theater, talking to your parents is theater, making presentations, it's all theater. So I just really like to give my students that skill to be able to communicate. Plus, theater's not a group, it's a family. The emotions are so raw. Everything that you do is just it's you and just you, nothing else. It's just you. So you're being accepted for being you. And you just get so close with all the people that you're dealing with that these are my kids. It's my family. Once you're in, you're in. Forget it. You're done.
I love it.
My first theater memory was I was in third grade. The fifth grade was doing their spring program. It was a story about the Easter Bunny who accidentally mixed pepper in with the egg dye. But they had no boys that would do it. So the fifth grade teacher was talking to the third grade teacher, went, "Oh, I got the kid for you," and yanked me out of class and said, "Here he is." My English teacher, Mrs. Julia Taylor, we did a mini drama unit in English class. And, she's like, you got a bit of a knack for this. So I joined the drama program there at Y-High. My best friend John was involved with community players. And he said, "Oh, you need to try out with us. You can do theater on the stage." I'm like, "No, I can't do that." So I joined community players. I was a sophomore in high school. That was over 40 years ago, and I've been with them ever since. And now I've branched out. I've been in the Nutcracker Ballet with Eastern Shore Ballet the last couple of years. Figure that one out. But yeah, I've been involved in theater constantly since I was a sophomore in high school, and now I get to teach it. When they first join, they're really shy. They don't want to they don't want to open up and be part of it. But then once we pull them in there, we play a lot of fun games the first couple of weeks just to kind of reel them in. But then we start really delving into characters and opening up their emotions and stuff. And then next thing you know, they're hooked. I've got a couple students now who they were playing spring sports, so they couldn't do the play with us. They were in the ROTC. They were doing all these different other things. But then they saw what we were doing, and then they joined in. And next thing I know, they're like, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to do this." So it's just, it makes a very confident. It builds your confidence. It builds your self-esteem. It's life. It makes you what you are. Yeah, it's real interesting. The first year I was at Y-High, I walked in, they told me what my room was. I was teaching science, and they said, "Oh, you're in D1. So when I went to Y-High, all the buildings had numbers. So I'm like, D? There's no D, there's 7. So I walked in the room, and it was the weirdest flashback because the room I taught in my first year was my homeroom when I was a freshman at Y-High. I literally sat down in the same desk I was in with Mr. McCabe, and that's where the first 2 years I taught there. So it was interesting. I never really left Y-High because I have 5 kids of my own. All of my kids went to Y-High. All my brothers and sisters all went to Y-High. We're Y-High. Now, of course, I'm teaching at Bennett in the morning, and that's a little weird as a diehard Y-High fan, but I'll do it. It's really great to be able to walk down the hallways of Y-High in the classrooms where I was, to give the teachers that were with me that lighter literacy, my English teacher, Mrs. Taylor, just to pass this on to my students, so that they hopefully could be where I am in the next years to come. So I would really like to thank the organizers and the supporters of the Wicomico County Library and the friends of the Wicomico County Library for even supporting this and sponsoring this award. And it's a real honor for me to accept it. So my name is Ken Johnson. I'm the VPA theater teacher at Y-High in Salisbury, Maryland.
The Arts Literacy Award is presented to an individual or organization whose actions demonstrate a dedication to providing and promoting effective arts education in any of its forms, visual or performing arts, including drama, music, or dance. The 2020 award is sponsored by the Peter and Judy Jackson Music Performance Fund. The Arts Literacy Luminary nominees are Applied Design Major Jeffrey Shoyan, United Way of the Lower Shore, Salisbury Wicomico Arts Council. The Arts Literacy Award is presented to Salisbury Wicomico Arts Council. Therese Hamilton, Executive Director, accepts the award on behalf of the organization.
Hi, I'm Therese Hamilton, Executive Director of the Salisbury Wicomico Arts Council and State President of County Arts Agencies of Maryland. I'm originally from the Midwest and Cincinnati, Ohio, and I have been here twice now for 11 years. I've moved here twice, and it is the land of pleasant living. I'm glad to be here. The Salisbury Wicomico Arts Council, SWAC, has some slogans. The arts are a gift to our souls, that we may achieve gladness in the midst of tedious living. The arts are our entitlement to lift ourselves to higher ground simply for the asking. In these tedious times, lifting oneself to higher ground can be a challenge, but the arts are a beacon easily followed to create the light of literacy, the light of hope, and the light of faith to spur us on. From the elderly bedridden man who used to sing in choirs and whose wife came up to me in the grocery store in tears, saying that he hadn't sang in years, but when he saw the SWAC TV show filming of a choir, he now sings daily in his bed. To the teacher who came to me with a student that was in a homeless shelter with his family, and she said he always acts out unless he has a trumpet in his hand. So SWAC gave him a trumpet. To the times when we run across a poem or randomly find a passage of literature that literally changes our day and hits us in the heart in just the right place. Through these things and more, we are healed by the arts. It is my honor with these slogans I created 11 years ago in these tedious times and all the things that I've mentioned, to be with you today to talk about one more slogan that helps us to keep our focus on the arts and that they make all life better for everyone, everywhere, no matter what. To bring the arts to the people and to bring the people to the arts. So thank you so much, Literacy Committee, the SWAC board and staff, and all of you, the people in Wicomico County. And I say thank you with one last slogan from SWAC. We can do together what we only dream about alone. Thank you.
And finally, from time to time, the library's Board of Trustees makes an additional award during the Light of Literacy program. The award is made in honor of Liz Bellevants. Liz Bellevants was an educator, social activist, and patron of the arts. Her defining quality was her unique ability to connect meaningfully with those she met, whether they were college students, migrant workers, or senior citizens. She was a founding member of radio station WSCL, served several terms on the board of Wicomico Public Libraries, spearheaded outreach work with the Hispanic community, and was a leader in many different arts and education organizations. Her life was a testimony to the power of passion in action. The board of Wicomico Public Libraries values these qualities and seeks to honor the dedication to service that exemplifies Liz Bellevants' life. We are pleased to present the Liz Bellevants Legacy Award to a recipient that embodies Mrs. Bellevants' compassion and work ethic, Marie Cavallaro.
Hello, I'm Marie Cavallaro, and I am the co-founder of a foundation called the Cavallaro and Clary Visual Art Foundation, and it is specifically for giving scholarships to talented students seeking a profession in the visual arts on the lower and mid-eastern shore. I'm from upstate New York, the foothills of the Catskill Mountains, Binghamton, New York. I was born and raised there and came here to Salisbury University, called Salisbury State College at the time, and took a job as a faculty member and teaching ceramics, sculpture, 3D design. And I guess it's because I was in the foot of the Catskill Mountains and had 3D all around me. I am retired now from the faculty, and I have a foundation that I am a co-organizer and author of this foundation. It's called the Cavallaro and Clary Visual Art Foundation. 20 years ago now, and put together this organization to give scholarships to students who are gifted in the visual arts. I think that literacy and art are synonymous. It's a way of communicating, and everything you see around you really is art. And from that point, we then want to delve into a further a knowledge about what we see. And we have a history then. And so we delve into history, we create images, and from the images, we then decide how we're going to create those images in a bigger fashion. Before the word as we know it, W-O-R-D, we had symbols, and symbols were from the caveman that gave us symbols that we would read so that we would understand their history and history through the ages. The word itself are made up of characters, A, B, C. They're all characters, which then put together become words. And words give us the awesome ability to find out about every symbol that we have and what the caveman was trying to say, now in its word form. My love for art started, I think, when I was really young, actually 6 years old, but when I was about 11, 12, we had a lot of weddings, and children were allowed to go to weddings back then. And we had a woman who would bake these wonderful cakes, and they would be like architecture. And I just wanted to work for her one day. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grow up and I'm going to work for Mrs. Pignani. So I went home and got all these different varied shaped pans and started baking cakes. But then I decided that I would just put them together like sculptures. And I became so interested in the forms and cutting away and just building, with cake. So cake batter became my first medium. I want to thank the committee for giving me this fantastic award. And it really means a lot to me, and it really means a lot to my board, who has been the most wonderful team I could work with. And I know that the students, knowing that we have this award, will now feel really special that they have received this award as well. Okay.
Congratulations to all of our nominees and award winners. And thanks to our audience for joining us today. And special thanks to our sponsors. Without their support, this program would not have been possible.